Here is a testimonial for the highest paid part-time job in the world from Katrina Alexander.
So I'm approaching 3 years in this academy. All of my accounts have increased trading, investments, business, and personal accounts. This academy can produce results in all areas of your life when you do the work. Yes, you have to work on your psychology and mindset to get the results.
Okay, so David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Appreciate everybody for coming through. So what we're going to talk about is the secret to selling for consultants and B2B sales. This is going to be very much an instructional video. So the goal of this video is to have you walk away, because you'll have the video, with instructions and a format on how to sell more as a consultant or somebody that's involved in B2B sales. Okay. And I learned this from people that drove a lot of sales. I have incorporated it into an offer I used to have a few years ago called a perfect offer. And then when I moved more to kind of like this, I would say e-com sales type kind of platform, online sales kind of platform, I didn't have to use it as much because a lot of my sales is done through my lander as opposed to doing it person to person. So everybody that's listening, that you are interested in learning how to sell, put a 1 in the comments, right? Let me know that you're interested, because what I want to do is offer this to people that really want to make a lot of money. And what can happen is you're going to hear from me for free, right? You may not take heed to it. You may take heed to it. You're going to go and you're going to get around Hormozy and you're going to get around Ovens, and they're going to teach you the same format. And I know because of a lot of programming, a lot of social conditioning, and also because you're going to pay them like $10, $15, $20,000, they'll do a $50,000 mastermind and teach you, get rid of what I'm getting ready to teach you right now. Right? So then it'll probably click then because you paid the $50K for it. And Erica talked about that earlier today. Is like sometimes when you got to put that price tag out there, that's what makes it stick for some people. Is the investment in it is the reason why now they finally get it. And that's cool. That's how it goes. But really trying to get to the person that really, really desires to understand how to sell, understand how to be successful. Because let me tell you something, this online space essentially convinced a lot of people that the way you really make a lot of money is you sell on the internet. That's one way to make a lot of money. Another way that has stood the test of time of making a lot of money is if you can sit down and talk to people and make a lot of money. If you can get on the phone and call people and make a lot of money, that's the era that the president came out of. That's why he always tries to push to that format, because that's his game. His game is the phone and face-to-face. That's his game. We're not taking nothing from him. So he always tries to push for what I'm getting ready to talk about right now. He always tries to push for that because why? That's how he made his money, right? So what I want you to understand is that there is a lane, right, where you just put up a bunch of e-com and you slam a lot of sales that way. There's a lane for that. But this lane I'm talking about here has never gone away. It's never going to go away, right? And there's certain things that you're trying to sell over a certain dollar amount. That's why I put for consultants and B2B sales that are over a certain dollar amount, that'll be very, very difficult for you to sell with a lander or e-commerce site. It will require conversation. It will require relationship building. It will require a consultative sales model. It will require those things, right? So that's what I want you to understand. Don't discount, right, this attitude or discount this attitude to sell, my bad. Well, I can sell everything just through the internet. You can sell a lot of stuff through the internet. However, I went to take a tour of a stadium and I saw a car at the bottom of the stadium for $180,000. I'm not sure that you can sell that with the internet. You might can, but I'm not sure, right? So this is who this is for. So let me tell you a really quick story about what I'm saying. So I now am talking to people about trying to get a property. I'm actually going through the steps of the process, right? But I talked to a broker, let's say November of last year. And I explained to the broker, I'm looking to start getting into the market to buy a home, but I need to get through the fourth quarter, right? Because this is one of the busiest times of the year for my business. And then I need to get through the first few months of the first quarter next year, because that's probably the second busiest time for my business. And then I'm going to be in a position to where now I can start looking for a house. So we sat down and had a conversation, and he answered some of my questions. We broke that down. And I said, okay, let me get through this period and I'm going to get back to you. Now, I wasn't saying that to kind of lay him off. I just needed to get through this stage of my business, because it's very important that we roll through those particular seasons. And I'm saying seasons from a business standpoint. I know that's kind of like a colloquialism now on the internet, but it's very important that we roll through those seasons with maximum focus to drive those sales in. So then what I did over the past 2 weeks is, now that we're through those particular periods, I reached out to them. We getting the ball rolling on that. How do we build a relationship? This is going to be really key. This is really what a lot of people want to catch on to. You know how we built the relationship? Because he listened to what I had to say about the situation. See how that worked? We sat down, we had a phone conversation, and I explained to him what I was going through. I explained to him what my situation was. And he listened to it and say, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can do. Just get back to me when you're ready. So then when I reached out to him, I say, hey, send me the information. I'm going to go ahead and fill it out. I fill it out within 1 day because now I'm ready. See what I'm saying? But we got there and we built the rapport and we built the relationship because he listened to what I had going on and he understood my personal situation. He didn't have to guess. He didn't have to project. He didn't have to forecast. He listened to me. And so what I'm trying to get you to understand is that I'm going to teach you a consultative sales model. This is very different than what a lot of other people do because we come in as a consultant in the true sense of the word, because the way you consult with people is you listen, right? You know who a consigliere is in the mafia? You know what their job is to do? Their job is to counsel, right? You know how they counsel? They listen, right? Because you got to understand the whole situation. So your power comes from your ability to listen. A lot of people struggle with this, right? You listen to understand what the other situation is, and then you offer your counsel. So you don't have to guess. You don't have to forecast. You don't have to project. You don't have to hope that you know. You get to understanding through listening. And I think this is something that's been very much lost in this world, right? So we're going to talk about the consultative sales model. This works very much, and it really will work for consultants, also B2B sales, where you're a business and you're selling to somebody else that's in business, right? So we're going to break this down. So like I said, when you pay for the $50,000 mastermind, they essentially going to teach you the same process, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing you want to understand, it's not about you, okay? No, that's going to be a news flash in this new era of the internet, right? None of this is about you. And so as a person that's coming in to add value to somebody's business, one of the most important things you got to realize is it's not about you. This is why a lot of people can't sell, right? Because they need it to be about them. It's not about you. It's about the person that you're trying to add value to them with your product or your service. In this particular space, it's going to be your service or maybe even your product. But you really got to understand it's not about you. It's not. So that's going to exempt a large amount of our population. And the reason why they can't sell, which is a very lucrative space to be in, very lucrative, because why? You're a revenue driver for your business. Whether you're doing it independently, you work for somebody else. So even if you work for somebody else, it's good for you to know, because if you can sell for your business, they ain't gonna get rid of you. They're gonna keep you. They're gonna get rid of a lot of other people. They're gonna keep you because why? You driving sales. First thing you got to realize, it's not about you. It's not. It's never gonna be about you. So if you need it to be about you, you need to get out of sales, like be an Instagram person, be a TikToker, and make it about you. But if it has to be about you, you need to get out of sales, because it's not about you ever. It's never about you. You have goals, you have objectives, but the way you get those is through other people. So you got to build the relationships. I don't encourage you to be the type of salesperson to where you're just consumed with selling people, but you don't care what happens after that, right? I want you to have some integrity. I know that's a colloquialism, but what I say by integrity, to where you value, right, making sure that you're selling to the right people. You value making sure that these people problems get solved, not just I got my number, right? So to do that, you got to realize it's not about you, right? So if you understand that it's not about you, hit me with a 1 in the comments, because this is going to be a barrier that a lot of people going to struggle getting over. It's not about you. It's never going to be about you ever in a million years. It's not about you. You got to understand, in this consultative model is never about you. I know that's like a news flash in this new internet era where everything is about you, and you got to do this. It's not about you, right? Let's keep going. You can't solve problems you do not understand. So again, if you don't understand the problem, you can't solve it. So what do you have to do? You got to go understand the problem. So a lot of what you may have to do to become successful is to reprogram how you interact with people, right? Because you got to start shaping your behavior right? In this particular way. You can't solve problems you do not understand. That's one of the things you got to really. So you don't need to be trying to guess what another person's problem is. You don't need to forecast. You don't need to do any of that. We're going to teach you a process the way you don't have to do that. But you cannot solve a problem you don't understand. So you don't know what somebody's problem is yet until you understand what it is. You don't know because why? You can't solve it until you understand what the problem is. Let's keep going. Once you learn this is the only choke point. Once you learn this, the only choke point is going to be lead flow as a solopreneur, right? So when you're operating as a consultant, B2B sales, once you learn this process, your only choke point is not going to be lead flow because you're going to be like a solopreneur. You got a solo business. How many leads can you get in that are qualified so you can sell them, right? That'll start to become your choke point. Many people's choke point is they can't sell. That's their choke point. They can't sell. They can hire somebody to sell for them. The problem is you don't know why they can't sell because you can't sell, right? So you don't know what they're doing because you can't sell. So you can't even get them to explain their sales process to you because you can't sell. So you can't hire all your sales. You can do that. That's like reasonable. But the problem is you can't sell. So this is why in a lot of B2B consulting spaces, the two biggest offers is leads and how to develop better sales skills. Because why? That's most people's choke point, right? They can't sell. They don't have enough leads. Once they learn how to sell, they don't have enough leads, or they got leads, but they can't close them. So there's a lot of offers in the consulting space, the B2B space around leads and sales, because those are most people's two biggest choke points. Because you got to get those down before you start worrying about, I got too many leads, I can't handle them, or I got so many sales, my operations can't handle them. Most people don't have enough sales, right? They scrambling to get a sale, right? So that's why Grant Cardone made himself very, very successful teaching business owners how to sell people. Because why? He knew that was a massive problem that they had, right? Because sales are the lifeblood of your business. So if you're struggling in that particular area, nothing else really matters because you're struggling in that area. And it's not going to get better just because you hope it gets better. You got to start putting the work in to make it get better. And the way you learn how to become a better salesperson is you got to be a better communicator. And when I say communicator, I don't mean you speaking, because the majority of communication is going to be nonverbal. I mean, you have to learn how to communicate more effectively with people, right? When I say communicate, I do not mean you talking, right? Because, the majority of communication is going to be nonverbal. Is you have to get better at communicating with people, more effective at communicating with people. Okay, let's keep going. So generate a lead to call or sit down with. That's the first step. We're going to take this in steps, right? First thing I want you to do is generate a lead to call or sit down with. There's a lot of different ways to do that. You can have a form on your particular website. You can hire people to generate leads for you. Whatever you got to do, generate a lead so you can have a call on the phone with them, or you can sit down with them, right? So again, we're not doing this the way they just go to a landing page. We're doing this traditional consultative model where you're going to either talk to them on the phone or you're going to sit down somewhere and you're going to have a conversation with them. Okay, let's go, right? First step, ask the lead why they're here, okay? Let me put this up here. Let me get more rid of myself. Ask the lead why they're here, right? Ask them. Talk to them. Say, hey, why are you here today? What got you on the call? What brought you here today, right? What's going on that made you show up today? Because if they showed up, there's a reason why they showed up, right? So you have to communicate that to them. Ask them, hey, I'm really glad you're here today. Let's just kind of start off with why you're here. Why did you show up on this call? What about my particular offer made you show up, right? And what you now need to do, stop talking and listen. It's going to be hard for some people. What you now need to do is shut your mouth and listen to them talk. And I'm going to get into why later on. But you need to stop talking and listen, right? Because it's not about you and what you're trying to talk about, right? You only want to talk to learn more, right? And what I mean by that is that if you really don't have a good understanding of why they're there, you want to ask questions around that, right? So you only want to talk to move the conversation deeper into why they're there, what got them there. And you're not talking to move it horizontally to the next stage of the convo. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? And there's a reason why we're doing this, but I want you to understand this first piece is really, really important. You got to get into the mode of shutting your mouth and listening, right? Because this call is about them. It's not about you and what you got going on and what you're trying. None of that matters. It's about them, right? So I want you to understand that. So we have to reprogram a lot of what we've been taught by society, because a lot of people have sold to us by making them think everything is about us. And the reason why we can't sell, right, using the actual person-to-person sales platform or using a person-to-person sales process is because we go into a sales situation, we still need it to be about us, right? So ask them why they're there. They're going to explain to you why they're there. Stop talking, listen, only talk to learn more about why they're there. Okay, that's the first stage where you want to go into, right? Let's keep going. This works for a very simple reason. The lead feels like people are not listening to their problems. You really got to understand this. So this goes into understanding your customer avatar, who you're dealing with. There's a reason for that. Let's get into it, right? The lead feels like people are not listening to their problems. So here's what I want you to understand. When you're dealing with, a lot of times you're dealing with business people, right? What I call people that want to be independent professionals in this class structure. They're normally coming out of working class, low skilled labor, middle class managers, paper pushers. Now, what do we know because we understand class structure? If a person is working class or low skilled labor, I'm not saying that working class people are synonymous with low skilled labor. Don't get that confused. If a person is working class or low skilled labor, typically their network is going to be working class, low skilled labor. Okay, it's not really common for a person to be working class, low skilled labor and their network be independent professionals. Okay, if a person is middle class, a manager, a paper pusher, they do clerical / administrative work. A lot of people work in HR, right? If that's their place where they're at in society, normally they're going to know people just like that. Okay, so now if they go into, now I want to be an independent professional, what do they struggle with? The people around me don't understand what I'm doing. Because why? They don't have a point of reference for what I do. Because they just show up at a job, clock in, do their job, and go home. So they don't have a point of reference. They don't know some of the details of what I'm going through. They don't know the actual pressure of having to try to generate sales on a regular basis. They don't know the pressure of, I'll put X amount of money in this business and I need this thing to work, else I'm out the money, right? They don't know the pressure of, my last 2 businesses failed, this is my 3rd business. They don't know any of that because why? That's not their lifestyle, right? So when you're in these 2 particular classes, you're trying to transition into being an independent professional, you're dealing with a pressure that many of your peers, because of your class status and because of your network, do not understand. The reason why that's really, really important is I want you to understand something. When you get that person on the phone, right? When you are sitting down face to face with that person, you may have been one of the few people that have actually asked that person what's going on in their business. So I want you to really understand how important it is what you're doing. And so that's why I try to tell you from the gate, it can't be about you. It can't just be about you trying to drive a sale. It can't just be about, oh, I want to close this person. Those are important. But this person is in such a sensitive emotional state right now because many of them are on a hope and a dream. They're on a hope and a prayer. And they have maybe leveraged themselves financially to do what they're doing. And it's not working. They're hoping that you may be able to provide a solution to them, right? Because they don't have anybody they can talk to. I know this dude that he's a trader. I know him off of Twitter. Dude make a lot of money on Twitter. I'm sorry. He makes a lot of money as a trader, right? His wife only cares how much money he makes. She has no idea what he does for a living. She just cares. Unfortunately, he married a woman who only cares about the money. That's unfortunate for him, right? So he got to pray for his relationship, but he's not a believer. So I don't know what he's going to do, right? I don't know who he's going to pray to about his relationship because I don't think he believes in nothing. But unfortunately, he married a woman that only cares about the money he makes. So he's on Twitter all day talking to other traders because why? He can't talk to his wife about what he got going on. She don't care. She just cares about his ability to buy her stuff from the money he makes as a trader. She don't care about nothing else. That's the woman he married. That's something he got to deal with, right? So a lot of people that are in the independent professional space, because of their peer group, they don't have anybody to talk to about their business. And sometimes the closest people to them, they can't even talk about their business. Really sit down and talk about it, because why? They're not interested. They want to do what they want to do. They want to put, whatever type of spin on it, they want to put spin on it. So what you're doing is you're coming in and telling this person, explain to me about what you got going on in your life. And you know what happened? It's literally like you would open up a dam and all the water start come rushing out. And you'll experience that in these particular spaces. The person would just start talking, because nobody ever said, hey, what's really going on in your business? And just sit there and listen. Nobody's doing that. Because why? They don't care. They don't have a point of reference. They don't feel confident. So this person often feels like they all by themselves. So you really, really got to understand this piece of it, because a lot of independent professionals are under a large degree of stress because they are trying to reinvent the wheel in their family. They're doing something that they necessarily don't have a script for. They don't necessarily have a blueprint for. And so they're trying things to see if they work. And as a result, they're under a lot of stress, right? So that's what I want you to really understand. Okay, so this is how you can be a lot of help to some of these people, right? So let's keep going. So let's find out why the lead is in business. Why? I'm sorry for the typo. What is the why around their business? What's the reason why they're doing what they're doing? So just ask them, hey, so this is why you showed up. You have this type of business. What's the reason why you decided to get into this type of business? Like, what is driving your decision to want to be involved in this type of business? Right? And let them talk. Because you want to understand what's the reason why they're going through all of this. What's the reason? Why are they doing? What are they trying to accomplish with what they're doing? Right? Because that's really, really important. Because some of you have tapped into this particular YouTube. If you've listened to me and really listened to what I said, you understand why I'm so passionate about teaching people the markets. You really get it. And I really haven't exposed all of it to you because I don't want to scare you, but I've tried to give you enough to get you to understand. If you've listened, some people just come here just because they're in the spirit of being argumentative. Other people may be caught into the enthusiasm of the situation. But if you really sat down and listened, if you listen to the testimonies, if you listen to the interview between me and Mecca, you really understand why I'm doing what I'm doing when I could probably be making more money doing something else. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm saying that to be real. There has to be sacrifices sometimes made to get results in the world, right? Sometimes sacrifices got to be made. If I got to make the sacrifice for a certain amount of time, that's what I'm going to do, right? Because I know the successes that we've been able to have in people's lives because we chose to try to figure out how to help people in certain areas. So sometimes to get that sacrifice got to be made because I'm here right now today because people made sacrifices. I'm not here right now today because I'm just this brilliant person. People became before me and sacrificed. So if you really sit down and really talk to me, if you talk to me and let me talk, you'll get the why I'm in the business, right? You'll really get it. You want to do that. You want to find out why that lead is in business. What is the why around their business? And you want to listen, right? Because this is about listening, right? Not about you trying to put your thing on what they got going on. Only talk to go deeper into the why. Do not talk to go horizontal to the next stage of the convo. So when you're communicating with them around their why, the only reason you should be talking is to go deeper into their why, because you want to get a full comprehensive understanding about why they're doing all of this. Why did this person take on this financial risk? Why did this person waking up an extra 3 hours early to do this particular business? Right? Why is this person putting stress on their family to try to make this business work? Why are they doing all this? Because there's something behind it that's driving their behavior. And you want to figure out what that is. Because if you don't know why they're doing what they're doing. And the goal is to understand why they're doing what they're doing. What you're doing is not relevant right now. Right? So you got to take a back seat to what this person got going on. Okay? So you want to understand this is really, really, really valuable. Okay? Next, to go to the next one. Number 3, ask the lead, what would it feel like if they were to accomplish their goals to get to their why? So, explain to them. So I understand why you're doing what you're doing. I understand what your why is, and I can really understand why you're so passionate around what you're doing. Let's say you were able to accomplish what you desire to accomplish. Let's say you were able to get that massive win in your business. How would that feel for you? And you sit back and you listen. And then you do the same thing. So you understand what I'm trying to tell you? How will it feel? Because everybody on this planet is driven by trying to get some type of emotional fulfillment, right? Most of us, 99% of us just want to be happy. But you want that person to explain to you how it will feel. Because many times as a person, we just wake up, we go through the motions. We've been very programmed by the society. We never sit back and think, how would it feel if I got what I wanted to get? Right? So you want to ask them that because you want to really understand and also get them to understand what emotion are they looking to get. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to run the same setup, right? Let me go here. Only talk to go deeper into the why. Do not talk to go horizontal to the next stage of the conversation. So when you're getting the emotions, right? We talked about how would it feel when you're going through their emotions. The only reason, right, that you are talking is to go deeper into the why. Do not talk to go horizontal to the next stage of the convo. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So you keep asking questions to get a better understanding of what emotions are they looking to get if they get that why fulfilled. Okay, so far this is making sense. Give me a 1 in the comments, right? Here's 4. Now what I want you to do is present your offer and explain how your offer gets the lead to their desired state. Okay, so here's what I mean. Hey, so I understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I understand how passionate you're about. And I understand that if you're able to get this particular success story, that you would feel like 1, 2, 3. Here's how I believe I can help you get to where you want to be. And then now you present your offer. We have this particular program. We offer these particular services. And this is what we do. Because now you understand how your offer helps that person get to their desired state. You see what I'm saying? You don't just run out there and say, hey, I do da, 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 and you haven't even spoken to the person and figure out what they really got going on, right? Because you never sat down and had the conversation. So sometimes having the conversation can get you to understand what this person, you don't have to guess if you talk to them. See how simple that is? You know, maybe because I come from a different generation. If you talk to them, you don't ever have to guess about what they got going on. You just got to talk to them. As opposed to thinking you know, and then there's going to be a miscommunication because we never sat down and had a conversation, right? And that's what I want you to understand. Now you present your offer and explain how your offer gets the lead to their desired state, right? Now here's 5. Ask the lead if the offer makes sense to the lead. So once you present the offer, say, based on what you've seen us present to you, does it make sense for you to move forward with this offer? That's it. Real simple. Based on what we presented to you, does it make sense for you to move forward with this offer? If they say no, find out the objections and close the objections. So if they say, well, hey, I'm not sure about this piece. Well, what are you unsure about? Well, I don't know if this and this. So here's how this piece works. What we do is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then that's how we can help you get the success story that you're looking for. So every objection they have, your job now is to roll back and close out those objections, right? So the way you find out what the objections are is you ask the lead if the offer makes sense. If they have any hesitation, ask them, well, why would you not say yes to this offer? Just have a conversation about it, right? And if you do it in a very, very relaxed state, they're not going to feel pressured because we just sitting back having a conversation, right? Real relaxed. Okay, let's keep going. After closing the objections, ask the lead if the offer makes sense. So we close the objections, we roll back to the close. Okay. Number 6, restate the offer and what it provides plus benefits. Tell the lead the price. Don't talk after stating the price. So once we close those objections, we restate the offer, right? So here's what we have. We have consulting offer 1, 2, 3. We have B2B offer 4, 5, 6. And here's how we provide this particular solution. And then here's the benefits of the solution that we provide. Then you tell the lead the price. The price for this particular offer is $20,000. And then you stop talking. That's going to be hard for some people because, they got to fill up the dead air space, but you can't do that. You give them the offer, you give them the price, and you stop talking. Right? Now, for some people, that can be easier because they're on the phone. If they're in person, if you're in person, you got to just posture up because you have to believe that you can help this person solve their problem. You got to really believe that. And you got to really believe in what you're bringing to the table. And, you got people out here making, dude making $200 million to play basketball. I know you ain't scared to ask for no $20,000. Right? I know you're not. See what I'm saying? You got to just really believe that you can really solve their problem. So I know you're not scared to ask for $20,000. You got people playing basketball making $40 million a year, $200 million total. And they ain't doing nothing but dribbling the ball up and down the court. You see what I'm saying? You're solving a real problem to really improve somebody's life. I know you're not scared to ask for no $20,000. You ain't scared to ask for that. Okay? So let's keep going. Don't talk after stating the price. Do not talk. Let them talk. Okay? Here's 7. If the lead has price objections, close the objections by speaking to the lead's desire to get the why and how your offer can help them. So it's $20,000. Well, I'm not sure if I can pay $20,000. Well, we have a payment plan that can work out for you. And the reason why we charge $20,000 is because we want to make sure that we can give full attention to our clients. And that puts us in the best position to help our clients get the success story that they desire. Now, you explained to me that you wanted to get this particular success story. I'm very confident. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure that I can help you get that success story, right? However, we need to make sure that you're on board with what we're doing. And so that's going to involve being fully committed to this whole process, right? Because they have some uncertainty around that price. So we got to figure out how to get around that. So you always speak back to what they want and then how your offer can help them. And then we roll back to the close, right? Close the objections and close the sale. So we just keep rolling back to trying to close that sell off, right? This format works if you do these things. First thing, if you listen more than you talk, right? Many people, again, will struggle because they think the goal is to out talk somebody on a sales call. No, it's not. The goal is to listen to what that person has going on and see, can you offer value, right? So you got to really understand. Because if you did some type of lead generation, if you did your lead generation properly, they qualify themselves as a lead. So it's really now not about disqualifying people. The lead process should have disqualified all the people that were bad fit for the offer. So you got to now listen more than you talk. That's going to be the struggle for a lot of people, right? You really believe you can solve the problem of the lead. Again, if you know you cannot solve their problem, you should not close them. Because you can get so skilled at this. That you can close people that don't need what you're selling because you get really good at this. You shouldn't do that because you can't help them, right? And there's a lot of people that are misusing a lot of these skills just to sell people, and they know good and well they can't help them. I see a lot of that predatory behavior in the Anglo finance space where they know they don't have nothing to teach them people. They don't care as long as they get that money, right? You understand the problems and challenges of your ideal customer. So this is what I want you to understand. The more calls you do like this, the more you'll understand what your customers are going through because your customers are going to fit a certain profile. So let me give an example. You may say, hey, I help accountants, right? So you may say, hey, I help accountants double their business in 12 to 24 months. That's what I do, right? I help accountants double their business in 12 to 24 months. So then you start generating leads in the accounting space. You're going to keep speaking to accountants that are struggling in business. And you'll start to learn every problem that they have because why? You're talking to them, right? I help orthodontists double their business in the next 12 months, right? And then as you talk to more orthodontists through this process, you'll start to learn what they have going on. So then you start to have an intimate understanding of the problems and challenges of your customer. Because why? You're constantly talking to them. Many people are not talking to their customers. They're not. They're not talking to their customers. They're not talking to the people that are in their market. They're not talking to them. They're not talking to them. And Like, that's weird to me, but they're not talking to them. Right. So anybody that's done a one-on-one consult with me, they know I will ask them questions about how they found me. I will ask them questions about what made them pick the course. I will talk to them because why? I need to understand my market, because a lot of people in my market have similar characteristics. They really do. A lot of the people that buy my course and they work all the way through it, they got very similar characteristics. I've seen this over time. And a lot of the people that buy it and don't stick with it, or a lot of people that don't buy it, they also have very similar characteristics. A lot of the people that really are attracted, I wouldn't say attracted to me from a romantic standpoint. What I'm saying, they're attracted to me to where they believe I can help them with what they have going on. They all have very similar characteristics, whether they male or female. A lot of the people that don't want to have anything to do with me, or over time I rub them the wrong way, they a lot of times have similar characteristics. I know this because I talk to people all the time, right? I talk to the people in my market all the time. So that's really, really important, because we're often trying to sell to a market and we don't really understand that market. We don't want to put that time in. And good salespeople, they understand their market really well, right? They really, really do. They understand what the people in their market are going through. So it's easier for them, and it takes time. This stuff don't happen in one day, right? So them old school salespeople, and you got that one guy, he always hits his numbers. You know, Ross Perot, when he used to work for IBM, he was known to have his quota way before half the year was even over. He would have his quota. That's why he was able to turn around and start a really, really successful software company and become a billionaire, because he understood what business owners that were looking to buy, I don't know if it's software or hardware at that time, he knew what they were looking to buy, because why? He spent so much time selling for IBM. He was one of their top people, right? So he really understood that market. So when he went out on his own, it was easy for him, right? Because he had his book of business, he had his network, and he understood his market really, really well, right? So what I want you to understand is that we are often struggling because, one, we want to make it about us, and it's not about us, right? When we're working, when we have a business to serve other people, it is about those other people. And it's a sacrifice we have to make to hope that we get money on the back end. That's how this game works. If you don't want to do that, like I say, just do it, be an Instagram person and push Fashion Nova or push whatever. But if you really want to do business the way I think is the right way, you got to understand that this is a game of service, right? So you got to give something up. Don't mean you got to give up everything, but something gonna have to be given up to help people out, right? And this goes on across the whole board. Years ago, I had got sick. I called my doctor on the weekend. He was on call. He answered the phone. He talked to me for like 20 minutes. That man at home chilling, even though he getting paid, but it's still this is time. But he's in the service business. He's a doctor, right? So I want you to understand, if we're going to go into the consulting space, the B2B, we're in the service business. Some of that means we have to be really, truly about serving other people. Understand things going to have to be given up, and everything not going to go the way we want it to go. It don't matter, because our why is so big. It overrides a lot of those discrepancies, downturns, yada, 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 right? But again, you really got to understand the problems and challenges of your ideal customer. That's what most people are missing in this thing, right? Other people understand their problems and challenges. That's how they got sold. But now as they're going out in the market and trying to sell, they don't realize, because they never got informed, that you got to really do the work to understand the problems and challenges of your ideal customer. Don't mean you can meet them all, but you want to understand them. There's people that are dissatisfied with me and some of the stuff I do, because why? I can't meet their problems and challenges, because I can't solve every problem for everybody, but I know what they are. But I can't do everything. I can't do every day do a live stream for the people that bought my course. I don't have that kind of time. So, but I have been doing one every 2 weeks for like 3 years. See, but I do understand some people want that. I just can't do that. Right. So that's something I want you to really understand. Let me see, do I got anything left before I get up on out of here? So if you stay in the niche long enough, we talked about it, you will start to understand the problems of the people in that niche on a very, very deep level. If you're very, I would say, laser focused on who you're serving. I serve accountants that want to double their business in the next 12 to 24 months. Right. I serve orthodontists that want to double their business. I serve plastic surgeons, right, that want to expand their marketing to drive more sales. If you're in those type of niches, right, it's very easy to understand what they're going on, because you're in a very, very tight niche, right? What most people think is, well, I want to expand. You can, but the problem is now you're dealing with different niches, so you may not really understand what everybody's going through. But if you stay in a niche long enough, you'll start to understand the problems of people in that niche on a very deep level. So that's why you got that guy that does B2B sales, and he's been selling to a particular space for a very long time. Why is he killing it? Because he knows what them people going through before they know what they're going through. He knows at this time of the year, the budget going to get cut. He know at this time of the year, they're going to expand the budget. He been there, done that. They've been doing it for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So he always hit his numbers because he been around long enough to know everything that's going on. So that's what I want you to understand, right? Let me see, do we got anything left? That's pretty much going to be it. So if you got any questions, you got any comments, let me know. And then we'll put up the, because we got some time. We'll put up the invite if you want to come through and talk about it. Uh-oh. And then that's copy. So if you want to come through and talk about it, questions, comments, that's pinned in the chat. Let's go through some of these questions. So Cedric Webb, man, appreciate the $4 super sticker, bro. Miss Phoenix, appreciate the $5. Really appreciate it, Miss Phoenix. Appreciate all your help over these years. I really do appreciate it. That's from the bottom of my heart. Not at 86. I don't know what cryptocurrency is that. All I know about is Bitcoin, to be real with you. So I appreciate you coming through with that. Right? Appreciate you coming through. Let me bring in Mr. Alonzo. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Appreciate you coming through.
I appreciate you having this.
Yes,
This actually, I know from my field, you were hitting so many points about being that lonely salesperson or that lonely, independent consultant. And you can't talk, like I can't talk to my wife about the business, my friends, nobody gets the concept. And that was just refreshing to understand that somebody understands that. So I know I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy at all. And I can understand definitely what you're going through because like I said, if I know some people to where being in business is something that maybe is part of their family history, but often with people where they're breaking new and they're breaking new ground, it can be difficult to find people in your peer group, in your immediate circle that kind of understand what you're going through. And so sometimes it can be challenging just to communicate with people about, hey, this happened during my day, yada, yada, yada. It's not that they don't want to get it. They just may not get it because they don't understand sometimes the pressure that you're going through.
So true. I appreciate you doing that. You've actually, I think I'm going to do a live probably on my TikTok because I have a group of other financial professionals over there that I want to hit with. But man, you're hitting on all cylinders. I just wanted to come up and give you your flowers, while you're still, on a regular level, because especially with everything that you're doing in the background, skyrocket is immediately going to happen. So I want to give kudos now before everything explodes and you get super big.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. And like I say, I thank you for, you talking about what you're talking about and being very, very consistent in what you're doing. At the same time, and if you want to get to whatever level you're trying to get to, you're going to get there. Because one thing I know about you is you understand sales. So I know you understand having to show up, having to produce, and having to be consistent, because that's pretty much what sales is. And you understand if I'm not productive, I'm not going to have nothing. So you understand having to get up every day and being about it.
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword, because having to get up and figure out, what you're going to do is very different than, I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the salt mine. Exactly. Once I get there, I know I pick up a pickaxe or a shovel and get to going.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was just amazing. And it what you opened my eyes to, and I hope that everyone else listening who is in any field considers, is to niche, right? Example, my field, I niche. So, somebody comes to me for life insurance, they think it's just, oh, I'm getting a policy for my dad. I want to spend, $100. And, I'm telling people, no, listen, if you're not spending $1,000 a month or better, I'm probably not the representative for you, because I deal with certain concepts with this stuff,
Yeah.
And so it's definitely, I'm going to do this as a training to some of the team that I manage. So thank you for helping us.
All right, man. So appreciate you coming through, man, Alonzo, man. So be easy. Like I say, if y'all need some insurance, but like I say, you got to get on a certain level, definitely reach out to Alonzo, man. He the go-to guy for that.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
All right, be easy. So big up to Alonzo Hall, the all-star advisor. Been doing this thing on that insurance tip. And, he knows the game that I'm in, because he has to generate business. You know what I'm saying? He may have some lead flow going in, but I know he got to close them. So he knows how this is. And he's been very, very successful for an extended period of time. So big up to him and what he got going on, right? Johnny Cadre, man, appreciate the 1999 super session. Okay, so Swedish Kronor. Okay, so big up. I got somebody up out of Sweden. I used to buy email traffic for them dudes up out of Sweden. This was a long time ago. So big up to you. I got to look at the exchange rate on that, man, when I get a chance, right? But big up, man. Appreciate you coming through with that. So Dr. Chaz says, no one thing I learned, it doesn't matter if they was never going to buy from you in the first place, charge what you worth. Definitely. Definitely. Just what Alonzo talked about. He's going for a certain customer. Everybody's not his customer. You know what I'm saying? So we can't think about trying to sell to everybody, because some people are not looking for what I'm selling, So I got to be able to accept that and keep it pushing. But for the people that are looking for what I'm selling, I got to really understand what they're going through. Most definitely. Said you learn how to sell from the Saturday shows, bring back Dark Persuasion. Yeah, I feel you. We had to put that on the back burner for a minute. We may bring it back though, Dr. Chaz, but I was glad you were able to get some value from it. Put it to you like that. And I've seen the value that you've got from some of the stuff. I know that you're very broad and you came in very accomplished on your own, because you came in to me. But when I met you, you was already a full doctor. So I knew you knew how to put the work in. So I was glad I was able to add a little bit to your situation, that, just to optimize the situation a little bit. But when Dr. Chaz showed up, she was already a full doctor in real life, right? Christian, could you explain your system? Could the system you're explaining work if you're trying to book appointments for product demonstrations? So this system really is about the lead already being generated and the lead coming to you, right? So if we're trying to generate a lead, I'm not sure, because I don't know what that particular process looks, because where I'm from, a lot of the leads are generated using some type of automated service, right? Or some type of call service, but it's not necessarily the person that's closing the lead, because what I'm talking about is closing. The person that's closing the lead is often not the person that's generating the lead, right? So I think we would probably need a different process to get people to book the appointment, because I'm not sure how booking appointments and booking leads was never my thing. I did lead gen through Facebook ads, but I never did it through some type of call process. Like when I was younger, they would call your house to see if you wanted to get, I forgot the name of that particular photo service, if you wanted to get those photos done. I'm not sure how that process works, but that's a great question. So you said you work in software as a service K-12 education industry. So Mr. Amerson, what I really would ask myself is that, do I really understand my customer avatar? And what questions can I ask around what my ideal customer is going through to get them to generate the appointment, right? So in my particular market, what questions or what challenges is my ideal customer going through to where I can get them to book the appointment, because they now believe I could potentially solve their problem, right? So I need to present their problem back to them in a way in which it would make them want to get that appointment. That's how I would look at it. So that really would come from me really, really understanding my customer. And it could be some trial and error there of language, messaging, things of that nature, but that's how I would look at it, right? But appreciate that question, bro. And good luck with everything in that K-12 education industry as a software guy. Always come with good questions. You can hear me?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, sir.
So your presentation tonight, it made me think of something that I read. I've read Machiavelli, The Prince. And he was talking in there about 3 intelligences. He's saying 1 understands without being told. 2, they understand once they're told, and 3, they won't understand whether they're told or not. And I found that intriguing. I'm listening to you, and I just wanted to understand your process. Was this something that you understood organically, or was it something that you picked up from someplace else? Because it was eye-opening to me. A lot of the stuff you say is eye-opening to me, but I just wanted to know
No,
this particular subject.
I was taught this.
Okay.
So I went and paid for education in this particular space because I used to be a media buyer. So I needed to be able to sell people on my media buying services. So I had to go learn how to sell because it wasn't something that just came natural to me. And I had to learn how to communicate effectively. And I had to learn, I was always a good listener, but I had to learn how to ask the right questions in a sales cycle or in a sales process to be able to get to a close. So yeah, I paid to learn from people how to sell. It was not natural.
Okay. But you understood that you needed to learn, though. That's that part you did. That was you.
Yeah, but I always understood I need to learn. Like, I don't know how I could be expected to go through life without constantly learning and then applying the information. So I always understood that there's things I don't know that's stopping me from getting to where I want to go. I never was under the impression that I know everything.
I see. But you knew this particular subject you needed to know in order to get to where you had to go. Because of course, I shouldn't say of course, but a lot of people don't realize they need to learn. But
yeah, but I mean, I knew that if I'm in a business that needs sales and I'm not good at selling, then I have to learn how to sell.
Got you.
Yes, sir. If I'm in a business and I have to drive sales because I was doing media buys, so I need to bring people into my media buying company. I have to sell them on my ability to solve their problems. And I'm not really good at doing that, then I have to go learn how to sell.
Okay. All right. Well, that was just the question I had. I just was curious about that and wanted to hear some of that insight. But thank you for your show tonight, your presentation tonight, and all of your presentations. They really are, in my opinion, like some of the best content. And I hate to call it that, but some of the best education on the internet.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. So just share it out, man. Let other people know about it.
Certainly.
All right. Be easy, man. Take care of yourself.
All right. Peace.
Peace. So big up to Jay. So Ant Dog on the rebrand, being a creator bag. Appreciate it, man. Glad you get some value from it. Glad you get some value from it, man. So that looks like that's going to be it on the questions and the comments. So like I say, man, want to really encourage you to kind of add this to what you got going on in your business. Because I really believe it to be very, very beneficial to you. And again, yeah, so we're going to kind of close it. There ain't no reason to be long-winded. Want to really encourage you to apply what we're talking about here. I really believe it'll be very beneficial to your business because once you kind of understand this process, you go through it, you develop a lot of confidence in it. You'll get the confidence. Like Alonzo Hall, he's done so much selling. His confidence in these particular situations is very, very high because he's done it so many times, right? So that's really what it is. It's just about repetition, going through the process, but also, again, really having a desire to really help people, really understanding who your market really is, and then really believing that you can help people and it'll make things move a lot smoother. Because like with me, I know about the markets. I know about trading, and I know I can help somebody if they listen to what I tell them. So any resistance doesn't shake my confidence. I'm sometimes confident about my ability to trade sometimes because I'm not sure about the trade, but I'm not ever not confident about my ability to teach it. So I may be unsure about a trade, which means I need to cut the trade, right? Because I may not be 100%, but when it comes to teaching what's going on, I can teach the majority of my content off the top of my head because I've done it so many times, right? So I want to really encourage people, if you get into the repetition of it a lot of times, it'll help build up your skills, build up your confidence to where now, you kind of become unshakable in that particular area. So I hope you got some value from it. Stay blessed. Talk to you later.